Here we are, the Angry Hacks podcast coming at you April 25th. Woo, it's been a little while, but we're back. We're back to talk a little baseball. We're back to talk a little bit of the NBA playoffs. And of course, we will talk NFL draft, which begins tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Michael Hall is with us today. What's going on, bro?
How we doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Ready to talk some sports with Ryan Stanley as well. What's going on, brother?
Just happy the Celtics won Game 5. A little bit of, I guess, a little bit of breathing room.
Of course.
So,
feels good, right? Feels good.
Feels fantastic.
Okay. All right, boys. Let's start a little baseball because last time we were on this podcast, it was about a week into the season or so, a little over a week. And those Metropolitans started out on fire, winning 9 straight. Came down to earth a little bit. But, won some games here and there. Big win last night, Rye. Huge win last night. Looked kind of bleak for a little bit. Bats are starting to get cold. Mainly some of our main bats are getting cold in Cespedes and Bruce and Conforto, guys that we're counting on to lead this team offensively. But Cespedes, Rye, did you see the home run last night?
Yeah, it was a bomb.
Was that an absolute laser strike?
It was huge. It was crazy. It was, it was ridiculous.
It hasn't landed yet.
No. I think they said 460-something feet or something like that.
Oh, good Lord.
I know.
Big boy stuff.
It was great because I'm listening, guys, and I love Gary. Love Keith. I think it was just Gary and Keith on the broadcast yesterday, and he crushes it. And Gary, he gets a little overexcited, which that's what I love about him. But he says 460-something feet, almost 500, and then Keith's like, well, not really.
Easy, Gary.
It was pretty good, but you know how excited he gets, right? I love Gary. He's the man. But that was a huge home run yesterday. Down 3 runs. The inning was crazy because the Weaver was rolling 10 straight. He had retired. It's 4-1. He gets the first 2 outs, and then all of a sudden, I don't remember seeing a guy just absolutely just melt down in the middle of an inning after looking so dominant. And he walks the next 2 guys on 4 pitches each. And then Cespedes comes up and he still looks all over the place. And then he's got to come in with a fastball, and Cespedes was just locked in and just crushed it and tied the game. So, I mean, that was huge. Then of course, we bring in Harvey, who's now in the bullpen. And, he's got to give up. He's got to give up a run. He's got to give up that run to go down 5-4. And I don't know about you, Ryan. It just looked to me like I was getting so pissed off. It just looked to me that we were going to lose the game 5-4.
Yeah, I didn't have a great feeling about it. Like I was only checking because I was watching the Celtic game, so I was just getting updates from my brother and on the phone. I didn't really watch any of the game last night until after the Celtics ended.
Mm-hmm,
and
of course.
It was, well, actually, so I saw, I was nervous. Like Harvey Wheeler, he's shown me some signs. He comes out, they bring in Harvey. I'm like, oh crap. And you get me thinking about Harvey. You mentioned him, and we ended up pulling out this victory, which is huge. But now my thoughts are on Matt Harvey. Did you see what he said today?
Go ahead.
Did you see it or no?
No, I did not. I've been
okay. So he was asked to comment about his Tuesday performance. He allowed the run over the 2 innings, and he snapped back after the repeated request. I have nothing to say to you guys.
Ugh.
I don't fucking want to talk. Asked why he wouldn't respond to the questions, Harvey said, I don't fucking want to. And that's
what is wrong with this guy?
Like, he wouldn't talk to the media, and like, and I don't think they were being ridiculous. They're just asking him about the bullpen, and he's this is a guy that I really have never liked as a guy, never. And it's one thing if you go out there and you win 20 games, which you know what he's never done. He's had one good year and one pretty good year, and then after that he hasn't done anything. He is
No,
not, and he thinks his shit don't stink. He's always felt that way. But when you come into the league and your ERAs in the low twos and the high twos, and then now it's in last year it was in the high sixes, and now it's close to six. You, I don't think you should ever act that way, but you really can't be acting that way now because you're fighting for your job. And you know what? These people are just doing their job. These reporters asking you questions. They're doing their job. They have to ask you these questions. People aren't going to ask you, "Oh, what do you think about the bullpen?" Oh, of course they're going to ask you that, you asshole. Like
It's kind of a big story.
No, it is, and
You're gonna get asked about it.
so there's a few things that I wouldn't care that happened to him. If they cut him tomorrow and he pitched unbelievably well after he left here, I really wouldn't care. I wouldn't be mad at the Mets. I'd be mad at him because
go ahead. I agree.
The Mets' hands are tied. Like I don't think they've done anything really wrong with Harvey over the years. I think and I'm not mad at them if they let him go and he's good and he's successful after this because you know what? The stuff that he's been pulling, just being a downright like kind of a dick. I don't want him. I don't want him around. I don't think he's a good clubhouse guy, and I think we have a great clubhouse. I think this guy hurts the clubhouse. Go, Rye.
No, you hit the nail on the head, my man. And I think he's, being so frustrated and being such a dick to these reporters, he has thought to himself, and I think he absolutely knows he sucks. He sucks. He's not going to be the guy he was. And like you even said, he wasn't the guy he was supposed to be for very long anyway. And we know that injuries did derail him in a few seasons. He had the Tommy John, but then he came back the next year. I think he won the Comeback Player of the Year too. Had a very nice season. And then him staying out there and for me being a little selfish in that World Series, because I understand being so pumped up. It's World Series. You want to finish that game. I had just a little inkling that it was just going to go wrong. I really did. And you cannot overstep your boundaries on your manager. The manager's the manager. You are the player. You need to, there's an order. Okay. There's an order. You're below the manager and you're supposed to listen to the manager. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm kind of going off topic a little bit. I'm kind of getting to my point. So that kind of, I think that right from there, after they lost that World Series where he went out there, an extra inning too long. And it just right from there, he hasn't been the same. He's been much worse and much worse in his performance. And, he had the thoracic outlet syndrome too. That hurt him. So he's never going to be what he should have been. And him acting the way he is making it worse.
100%. You mentioned that World Series game, and I can't go back and change what I felt at the time. And what I felt at the time was I was okay with him being in there. I was okay that he stayed out there. So I don't blame any of that on him. But you're right. That was really the last. I mean, I'm sure he had a dominant game in 2016 at some point, but that's the last dominant game he pitched that I can remember.
Absolutely.
And since then, it's been really downhill. And you know what? Maybe the bullpen, like, if this guy wasn't such a dick and I was looking at this as like an outsider, I'd be like, hey, you know what? Maybe the bullpen would be a great spot for Harvey. Pitch an inning, give it your all for an inning. Maybe he'd be a dominant bullpen guy. You never know. Like maybe like with Jason Isringhausen, like kind of was pretty good as a starter, and then kind of sucked and went through some injuries, had a lot of issues, and then became a pretty good closer with the Cardinals and the A's after he left the Mets. Now, could that happen with Harvey? yes. If he becomes an all-star 7 years in a row after he leaves us, I'm not going to be mad at the Mets for this. I'm just not.
Well, here's the problem though. He needs to change his attitude. He's not a team oriented guy right now. The way
Right.
he's treating reporters and such. He needs to be a team guy. He's being a me guy. That's what he's
Right.
being. And you know
Yeah.
what, Rye? Like you said, he's always been that kind of guy. You feel like, right?
Yeah, I do.
Mike, what's your thoughts on Harvey?
I just I was going to tag along anyway. What you just said, he's not being a team guy on a really good team. That's the big problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't, this wasn't a horrible April. It's not like guys are, 6 games out right out of the gate. You're the team in the East right now. The start you guys have had has been wonderful. This isn't the shit you want right now. I mean, listen, Harvey coming into the year, I think everyone's expectations were kind of curbed anyway. We weren't sure what we're going to get out of him. And it's been realized, the bad start. Moving to the bullpen, I thought could be a really cool opportunity for him. I mean, if I'm Callaway, you could even went, Familia, you could even went, you know what, Harvey? We're going to move you to the bullpen, but you're going to be the closer right away. Pump him up a little bit. Just give him the closer job right off the bat. Maybe that, injects a little juice into him, see how he does with it. There's not too much to lose there. If he's horrible at it, then you move on anyway. But I think the big problem now is, what do you actually do with him? I say this bullpen stuff doesn't work out. It wasn't too impressive in his first appearance. It wasn't horrible. But what do you actually do with him?
That's
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying cutting him tomorrow, not necessarily tomorrow, but cutting him and just designating him for assignment or releasing him or trading him in the next few weeks is not a bad thing. It's not bad anymore. You don't want to sell low, but you know what? At this point, I don't care.
Hey, remember Matt Harvey from Mookie Betts?
Yeah, I do. Or Bogarts.
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
I would die.
No. No, Rye. I'm glad that you brought up Harvey. I wasn't going to talk about him too much, but you make some good points, and it's just it's ridiculous that that's what we're hearing from this team, along with the great start that they've brought. And you know what? They've brought just an absolute one of the best clubhouse guys you could ever have on this team. A guy that started this crazy salt and pepper shaker thing that looks like you know what it looks like, but it's fun. It's fun though.
It looks like fun.
A couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, when we were solid. Jose Reyes brought that arm thing. I don't know if you remember. I mean, I obviously can't see you, but like it was just like a come on kind of one arm thing. I don't know if you remember that.
I kind of do.
Yeah. So stuff like that, but it's energizing this team, and it's funny. Frazier's playing well too.
Yeah, he has.
He's playing really well. And it's brought a new dynamic to this team that we haven't seen in quite some time. I mean, this wasn't around even in that 2015 World Series team. It wasn't there. This brings me back, Rye, to that 2006 team.
Yeah, the fun-loving. Yeah, that was just the best year. That was so much fun that year.
Absolutely. But and Harvey is kind of putting a damper on some things, and I didn't hear that until you just said that, but it doesn't shock me. Shock me. He's a guy that's getting sent to the bullpen because of his performance, and he's got to take it like a man and try to help this team win any way possible. And he doesn't seem to be doing that. And when he's sucking, he's just amplifying his negativity.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is your job. You also, a lot of people forget that, or athletes forget, this is your job. Like if you weren't an athlete, you'd be working, maybe a desk job, maybe a school teacher, maybe McDonald's manager, whatever. You'd be doing something else. And then when you wear a uniform of any of those places, you're representing yourself and the company you work for and the team you're on, if it's the Mets here. And when you're cursing at reporters, that just doesn't look good. I hate it. Like, I get it in situations when you're mad and you're cursing, but when you're like cursing at them and not willing to answer the questions, it's childish. It's childish. Like you said, he needs to be a man. Anyway, he has a job. You're obligated to do your job. I would like him to do it, but whatever. But I want to focus on positives, like you just said about Frazier with the salt and pepper and the energy, and there's just guys I want to mention that I've been pleasantly surprised with and happy is Gesellman, Seawald. You mentioned Frazier. Wilmer Flores with that walk-off homer and the whole walk-off stats that he's had in his short career as a bench player, basically.
Crazy.
Is crazy. We ran off those 9 wins in a row, and then we go to Washington, and it's like, okay, it kind of pressures on us because we lose the first 2, and we blew one of those games, and then the third game we're down, and we score that 9 runs in the 8th, and it was like, okay, a comeback win. I think that win after losing the first 2 to the Nats was huge.
Mm-hmm.
That win was a
100%,
huge win.
100%, man.
And then the 2 wins that we've had since that win are 2 extra inning wins that we've come back from. The 12-inning game against the Braves, we lost 2 of 3, but we could have been swept easy, and we won that game in 12, and we come in St. Louis last night, we get that Cespedes homer, the Bruce homer, and it's just very positive. Like, it looks like we might start, hitting this, going downhill, and we win these games late and come back and win, and these come from behind victories, which is huge, and I love it. And I'm still excited, and I don't want this Harvey thing to weigh me down.
No, it shouldn't too. Yeah, we got to focus on the positives. They had that electric start. Doesn't ever happen. One of the best starts in Major League history, and Major League history, not just Mets history. Major League history. 11-1 they started. Mike, this, and not any of those 90s Yankees World Series teams never started that hot. It's crazy. It was a great start. You're going to come down to earth. You're going to have these cold streaks. But like you said, they had a couple of statement wins where they easily could have laid down and died and lost those games, but they won them. So now they got to string a few series wins together and just keep it going. Because guess what? Still first, still leading the NL East at 15-6. Still leading.
Yep.
So they just got to keep it. They got to keep it where it is right now. But we need to see guys like Cespedes and Bruce and Conforto. They got to start hitting. Cespedes is pissing me off the most because he's striking out a ton. Most strikeouts in majors right now. He's got like 38, which is insane. He's got to cut those down.
We have one starter hitting over like 265, and that's Cabrera.
And he's leading the league, actually.
He's been our hottest hitter, and he's been the only guy that's really hot. Like Frazier's hitting a little bit, but that's it. Nimmo.
Yeah, and we're still winning games. I mean, and you know what, right? And you know what? Syndergaard hasn't been awesome. He really hasn't. Right. DeGrom's been better than Syndergaard, but he hasn't been himself either. I think there was only 2 occurrences so far where our starting pitcher went into the 7th inning. So, I mean, I don't know. We're winning in, different fashions. Like you said, Flores with the walk-off, the comeback yesterday, Bruce hitting that 10th inning home run to put him ahead. Oh, one more thing. I can't. I'm getting really frustrated with Familia. Really frustrated. He is so much reminding me of Armando Benitez. It's like, it's terrible. I don't even know what to say. What do you think about this guy?
It's this. I feel the same way you do, and everyone on the planet that's not a Met fan that knows baseball would look at his numbers and be like, "Oh, I would love to have this guy."
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Same thing with Benitez.
Yeah.
You like, and you'd love to have them when you look on paper. Familia, a 1.38 ERA, 17 strikeouts in 13 innings, 9 saves this year. You'd be like, you'd sign up for that any day. But
Yep.
in those 13 innings, he's got 8 hits and 6 walks. He's wild. He's erratic. There's always base runners on.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I understand. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
Well, all I was gonna say is, and I understand closers. Most closers, most of them throw hard, high 90s. So you're gonna get that erraticness. You're gonna get some walks here and there. But this guy, if he walks a guy, it just seems like that inning is over. He just implodes, and it's unbelievable because I mean, and Mike, you've seen him enough too. His stuff is filthy, absolutely filthy, and he has 3 filthy pitches. His fastball is a sinker. First of all, that thing moves like crazy. That just darts down and in on a right-handed batter. His second best pitch is that splitter, which is nasty at times.
It's awesome.
And then he even throws in a little slider, which he likes to pick that outside corner on the righties. So he is absolutely filthy when it comes to, his talent. He might just be one of those head cases. He really might. So, that's all I wanted to say about him. He's starting to really frustrate me. But you know what? I'm sure many people think about that with their closers as well. A lot of these closers walk guys. But other than that, Rye, just want to end on a positive note. 15-6 leading the NL East. Got to keep winning. Let's win some series and move on from there.
Love it.
So, Mike, your Yankees, started off a little hot and cold here and there. Weren't really hitting, but they're starting to hit their stride with the bats. What do you got for us?
Yeah, they're hitting now. And one more thing on the Mets, I have to mention this because I love it. And I tweeted this to you guys today. The handshakes in the outfield after a win, the removing of the hat, like you're walking off the 18th green after a round of golf. I see Bruce, Conforto, and Cespedes just grown man handshakes. They take the hat off, just say good game, and they run into the infield. I think it's awesome. I've never seen anything like that. You got the Red Sox break dance out in the outfield after every fucking game. It's refreshing. I saw that today and I started cracking up. I like it a lot. So I hope they keep that up. Pinstripes, Yankees. Yeah, they're hitting. The starting pitching has stabilized. We'll say they haven't really pitched tremendously well. Tanaka's been up and down. I mean, Severino's been wonderful. Sonny Gray, who's throwing tonight, he's kind of stabilized himself with tonight's start, but he's the question mark going forward. I mean, Sevy, outstanding. Tanaka will give you more good than bad. CC just came back from the DL. His 2 starts have been good. He was better. He was very good last night. Montgomery, solid and steady, but Gray, it's been a problem. We're trying Romine tonight because his numbers are markedly better with Romine behind the dish as opposed to Sanchez. Didn't get off to a good start, gave up a 2-run missile to Sano in the first. So there goes that. But he's kind of settled down tonight. But the pitch counts every single night. I don't know how this guy's ever going to get out of the 5th inning. I mean, it's top 5 right now. Rosario's leading off from Minnesota. Gray's already at 88 pitches, and this is every single start. So we'll see if the Romine thing gets any traction and Gray can Boone says he doesn't like the personal catcher thing. If it works, you have to go with it. I mean, it worked for Greg Maddux, right? I mean, his personal catcher was anybody not named Javi Lopez. So we'll see. But the offense has been the story. I mean, Aaron Judge is officially a professional hitter. The holes in his swing are just getting smaller and smaller. It's just hard to get the guy out. Sanchez heating up, hit 2 out last night. Stanton, better at bats. Didi Gregorius is he's unbelievable. He hit another one out tonight. He's unreal. I mean, I've said it a million times. I'm just going to bring it up again. Every Yankee fan misses Derek Jeter, but no one misses Derek Jeter because of Didi Gregorius. He's absolute star in front of our eyes being born. Guy's got like 58 RBIs already or something. I don't know what it is, 9 home runs. First shortstop to start with that many homers and RBIs in Major League history. I can't say enough about the guy. And him right in the middle of the order, kind of gets things going. So hitting, steady pitching, and that leads to more wins for sure. I guess the only thing to talk about, well, 2 things. We'll do the bullpen first. Much like the starting rotation, they've, steadied the ship. They had a really, really rocky start to the year, obviously with huge expectations as being kind of a weapon for this team. And they were kind of the weak link for the first 2.5 weeks. Canely going to DL obviously hurts, but we had to get him right. You could see his fastball was just gone, and turns out he had tendonitis in his shoulder. So the timetable, who knows, but better to get him right and back to his normal self how long it takes. I don't know. Green, Robertson have steadied, reliable. But I have to mention Betances. It's funny, Stan, you mentioned Familia. You look at his numbers and you go, wow, what a nice pitcher. But, he gets on the mound and it just drives you crazy. I mean, that's Betances. I mean, the numbers this year are not pretty to look at. Last night was another absolute mess. But Betances, mostly for his career, I mean, this is an all-star. This is a guy, strikes out, 17 per 9, something crazy. The numbers are always pretty good, but I can't look at the guy anymore. It's unbelievable. Boone tries to throw him a bone, puts him in a pretty high leverage spot last night. It was a 3-1 game. Yankees up 3-1, and he brings him in the 7th, and he almost hits every single guy he faced with at least one pitch. I'm not even kidding you. Every lefty that came up there, he would spike a curveball and almost hit the guy. He almost took, Logan Morrison's head off. He had no idea where the ball was going. Absolutely ridiculous. Boone had to come and get him. Yankee Stadium, they were booing their heads off. I almost felt bad for the guy, but it's a serious problem. He just can't pitch anymore. We talk about Harvey releasing him tomorrow, doing something, but Tansis, he has to go. I don't know what to do with the guy. Yeah. It's like he's been so bad, absolute mess. You can see it on his face. He has no idea what the result is going to be from pitch to pitch. He has no clue. So that's the one negative going right now. Sonny Gray throwing, 20 pitches an inning, and Dellin Betances throwing it all are the 2 problems on this team. We'll end with one positive, and it's the new batch of baby bombers. Miguel Andujar, or Andujar, as Michael K likes to say. Apparently that's what he wants to be called. But, of course, K has to enunciate it like a schmuck every single time. Andujar. Kid's a machine. I mean, we heard about the bat all spring. He was going to be the starting third baseman. But then we bring in Drury and say, okay, let's see this kid, let's send him down, see what we can do to start the year in the minor leagues. Called him up, really slow start, but man, the last 10 or 12 games, I mean, it's an extra base hit every single night. And then Gleyber Torres finally gets the call because Tyler Wade just couldn't hack it. I root for a kid like Tyler Wade, but he's just not a big leaguer. Gleyber Torres is first hit, major league hit last night, first RBI. He's got a double tonight, so you can see the comfort level rising with him in the batter's box. And you know the team they have out right now is, I mean, it's kind of the future. I mean, Greg Bird aside, I mean, Tyler Austin, who has a homer tonight, has been very good. Austin at first, Torres at second, Didi at short, Andujar at third. I mean, that's an exciting. Sanchez behind the plate. It's exciting. So playing better baseball. Obviously, still very early, but it's nice to win a couple games and Boston lose a couple games. But I'll say that much. So better than the last report.
Hey, Mike, go back to Torres for a second.
Yeah.
If you remember, he was my pick for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to be called up this early. So that only just bodes well for my pick. So he's going to get a lot of exposure. Do you have any inkling that he'll be sent down at all? Is there, I don't know the injury wise what's going on. Was he sent up to just to be there?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I mean, a couple. When right now, Brandon Drury, remember, he's got that migraine, blurry vision kind of deal. Apparently, he's progressing well, but I mean, Miguel Andujar, he's got the job right now at third base. Now, Drury does have some flexibility. He can play a little second. We have Neil Walker, but Neil Walker he's brought nothing to the table so far. So, listen, if Torres is going to hit, I don't see any reason to send him back down.
No, absolutely.
Now, a big, long slump, and Drury's waiting and Walker's there. I mean, Walker's still going to get plenty of at-bats at first base. But you know what? If this kid can hit, and watching him the last few nights in the batter's box, I mean, he looks like a professional hitter. Just wasn't getting some results. I think he can stick for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? Too, they didn't call him up to sit the bench and be a pinch hitter.
No.
They call him up to play.
Right, and it's hard to do. A team should never do that, in my opinion.
Of course.
Especially in April. If you're gonna call him up, you got to run him out there, and they have. He's sitting at the bottom of the order, which is fine. But yeah, he for his first 8 or 9. You could see him pressing. He was nervous, but last night got off the schneid, got the first hit, then got the first RBI. First extra base hit tonight. So he's good enough to stick. That's for sure. He has the talent. We know that.
Absolutely, and just like the Mets guys, the Red Sox started off with an unbelievable start, obviously. But they've lost a couple games too. Those things are just not as sustainable, not in Major League Baseball. And you guys are playing hot. The Yanks are playing hot right now, especially with the sticks. And in April, you're only 4 back, so it's gonna be a fight because Boston looks good though. They do look good.
Yeah, and so does Toronto. But
I know it's crazy, but you know how they peter out.
Yeah, well, big shout out to our boy Curtis Granderson for taking Kimbrel deep last night in the 10th, I think, to walk it off, or 9th. They had a tie game in the 9th. They brought Kimbrel in, and Granderson took him yabo.
Stanley, you probably love that one.
It was nice.
I loved it, and that was huge for Toronto. It's what's been happening there.
Oh yeah,
was the bus or whatever.
Yeah, mowing down those pedestrians.
Yeah.
Mowing down the pedestrians. So Granderson, always a guy that I don't know. That always I swear he thinks about stuff like that. He's like, I'm coming through for this city here today. They need something. It's a baseball game, but you know what? It still gets some people happy for a few minutes, So he was like, I feel like he like comes through in that situation or has before, but good for him.
Always a guy you can root for.
The Grandy
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, always a guy you can root for. Any other baseball around the league topics, boys?
Yeah, I got one.
Go.
I got one. Attendance for the Florida Marlins.
Oh God. Is it negative?
Oh, it's it's the closest you can maybe get to negative, but like they have a minor league team in Jacksonville that one night had a higher attendance than they did.
Oh God.
So
That's
the games
fantastic.
against the Mets, their highest attendance, 7,000 people.
That was the Met game.
That was the first Met game.
It was
Behind
probably
7,
4,000 Met fans too.
Oh my God.
right. And then it was less the next 2 days, and then against the Pirates it was like 6,000. And they've been on the road for like the last 9 days. They come back on Friday, and they're now 6-17. I don't know how many people they're going to have there.
It's only going to get worse, right?
What's it going to look
It's
like in
worse.
August?
Right.
It's worse than the teams that have been playing in the blizzards. Their attendance is less than those teams.
If they have any prospects, I got to call them up like now, just to
Oh yeah, to get some butts in the seat.
any kind of juice. But I don't know if it's going to help. I don't know if it's going to help.
And then, I love talking about Ohtani. I'll just mention him really quick. Since we last talked about him, he hasn't hit any more homers, but his average is still 333. He's had 2 starts where he hasn't looked so good. One where he had a blister and came out early. And then yesterday, or maybe it was 2 days ago, he pitched against the Astros. 5 1/3, 4 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 5 walks. So it was a little erratic, but probably feeling the pressure of facing that Astros lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But he threw 8 pitches in that start, over 100 miles an hour.
Yep.
Oh,
Lord.
I did see that.
It's crazy. And this guy is still a great watch, and I can't wait till he maybe has a chance to come play somewhere by me that I can maybe go see him play.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll at least get to see him on television this weekend because the Yankees, they finish up their 4-game set with Minnesota tomorrow, a getaway day, matinee, and then they fly out to Anaheim. So we got to look at him this weekend.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's going to pitch. I don't know if he'll have a turn.
No, his next start that he's due is against the Orioles on Tuesday.
Okay, so we just miss him, but we'll have to deal with him at the plate.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, he's gonna be a fun attraction to pay attention to and to watch all year.
Yep.
Mike, did you have something to add?
I was actually going to talk about Ohtani.
Oh.
So there we go.
Sorry, Michael.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
No, he just piggybacked. Just jumped on your back.
Just Piggy Ohtani.
Yeah. So, right, this is this is something that I usually, I don't get into and don't talk about too much, but we're gonna mention it because it's, it's right in the throes of it right now, and that's the NBA playoffs. Knowing that I don't really have a team I root, too much for. But yeah, I've watched a ton of NBA playoffs so far, fantasy purposes, but they've been fun. They've been fun. And, before we get to your team, you got 3 teams so far that have advanced in the Pelicans, Warriors, and Sixers. And you have a lot of young talent out there that is just kind of exciting. Guys like Ben Simmons, Big Brow, guys like that have been, and then you got your throwbacks, Rye, your boy Rondo, picking his game up in the playoffs like usual.
Dude, played phenomenal in that series. Like they took it to Portland, and him and Drew Holiday, and obviously Anthony Davis and Mirotic, but him and Holiday in their minds, they just felt that they were better and they played better than Lillard and McCollum, and they shut them down and they played fantastic in that series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a clean sweep,
Clean
and that's
sweep.
crazy.
And you know what? That Portland team, was in I think the top 5 in defense all year. And dude, the Pelicans were putting up 130. They were just scoring at will. And I really do like Lillard. I like him. I think he's a really good player. And he was absolutely awful, or it's all series.
Yeah, Drew Holiday shut him down,
Shut him down.
and then every time he went to the rim, Anthony Davis was there with, affecting his shot, either blocking it or just making him alter his shot for misses. And it was almost like the perfect defense for the guards of Lillard and McCollum, because Holiday guarded the perimeter extraordinarily well, and Davis protected the rim very well, and every loose ball went to either Rondo, Holiday, Mirotic, or Davis in that whole series. They got every loose ball. I think I watched 3 of the 4 games. I missed one. It was just so good to watch. And so they're running out Davis, Holiday, Mirotic, and Rondo all played over 35 minutes in a game in the 4 games, and then they're throwing out like some minutes to Etwan Moore, Ian Clark, Darius Miller, Solomon Hill. They don't know what they're doing with that 5th spot, but those 4 guys played their asses off, and it really paid dividends in that sweep.
And I know they're in the West, and it's real tough, but I don't know, man. They could surprise some people.
You know what? I agree. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Why can't they compete with the Houston or a Golden State? Because if you think about it, I think Durant's probably the best player in the West in the playoffs, right? But
Mm-hmm.
couldn't it be Anthony Davis? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it could. Like, Anthony Davis could be the best player in a series at this moment against anybody. He's a top
Right.
3 or 4 player in the league, maybe top 2. If he keeps winning, I'm going to put him even higher. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that was great. They were great. The Sixers have been fun to watch. That team scares the shit out of me for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the playoffs have been great, Rye.
Yeah, let's talk about the Celtics a little bit, because I watch a little of them too. They lose a guy like Kyrie. Obviously, they haven't had Gordon Hayward all year. But that's a team that is just, and they are coached really well.
Oh, the best coach in the league. Brad Stevens is the best coach in basketball. I don't think it's a secret anymore. I think for a while people were afraid to say it. Maybe you give it to Popovich, but I think he's kind of taken the reins here, and it's hard to say that with a guy that hasn't won a championship or anything. But everybody sees it, everybody knows it, and it's really coming here. Like, we're winning, we're up 3-2 in the series against the Bucks. They clearly have the best player on the court at all times in Giannis, and they have a pretty good. Middleton's been fantastic. He scares the shit out of me every time he shoots the ball. And we're running out, Big Al Horford, who's just a great, solid, all-star type player, and he's playing his game.
Yep.
Last night he starts Semi Ojeleye, and he plays 31 minutes, and Giannis is held to 16 points.
Wow.
We got a performance out of Ojeleye that is probably going unnoticed because he doesn't score. He's not a great shooter. He had like 5 points, 7 rebounds, didn't really do much, basically stood in the corner. But on defense, he really alters shots. He moves his feet well. He moves laterally well. These guys aren't going right past him. And a lot of the time, Giannis would go, drive to the hoop, and Ojeleye would have his feet planted, ready to take the charge, and Giannis would jump out and kick the ball back out to somebody else. He only took 10 shots in the game, 10 field goal attempts. I mean, he went to the line 9 times, but you want Giannis shooting 20 times. You want Giannis shooting the most shots on your team. Now, he's not a great jump shooter, 3-point shooter, but you want him finishing at the rack. You want him driving to the hole. You want him shooting those shots, and and Ojale wasn't letting him get there, and it was fantastic to watch. He had 2 huge tip outs at the end of the game. This is a second round pick that barely played this. He played some this year, but did nothing on offense all year, and he really stepped up here in this game 5. Got 31 minutes of playing time, 4th on the team in minutes.
Does he start next game?
You know what? I think he does. I think you're going to roll out the same lineup. I think you roll Horford, Ojale, Tatum, Rozier, and Jaylen Brown. And let me just talk about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Do it.
The balls on these guys and the experience that they're getting is huge for the Celtics' future. Tatum and Brown are the 2 guys on our Rozier a little bit too, obviously, are 2 guys that can create for themselves, and they're doing it, and they have to. These are like the go-to scorers on the team, and they're 20 and 21 years old. It's crazy. We get Marcus Smart back, and he's the heart and soul of this team. I don't want him ever playing for another team. This is a guy I just want to stay with the Celtics forever. He's a free agent at the end of the year, but last night it just showed you how important he is to this team. We needed that victory. We got it. The first play that he's involved in is Giannis does some kind of like spin move to get some separation from whoever was guarding him, and Smart just jumps in, steals the ball, jumps on the floor, gets loose ball, kicks it out, and it's like a hustle play right away. And it's like, this guy's amazing. And he had 3 blocks in the game. He turned over the ball a lot. He's a little rusty out there, but his heart and soul is so needed in these playoff games. And this is why I do think that we have a chance to close this out in Milwaukee and not go to Game 7, which I thought for a long time was going to happen.
Well, what was I going to say? Rozier.
Yeah.
He could start on many teams.
Yeah, I think he could. I mean, he's really proven that when Kyrie went down, he got this nickname Scary Terry because he just started hitting shots.
I saw that. It sounds funny. Scary Terry.
And it's like he's hit a lot of shots. He's not afraid to shoot the big shot. So that bodes well for these guards. I remember like Chauncey Billups, great player. But what made him better than a lot of other guys, he was never afraid to shoot a big shot. And you had confidence in him doing it. And I kind of have that with Rozier. I hate, though, like there's sometimes when I'm watching, oh, don't shoot that. But for some reason, at the end of the game, if he's pulling up, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of have this extra confidence in him. And I like it. And he's fun to watch.
Yeah, most teams, it's tough to come back from, your best overall guy in Kyrie. But I don't know, for some reason, Celtics, they just plug these guys in and they just have a lot of great role players. A guy like Baines. What about a guy like Baines? He's been playing great when getting the opportunity.
Even yesterday, he only played 10 minutes, but he set a lot of big screens and picks that go unnoticed. And they're big plays. He set a couple of picks that got us, I remember 2 easy buckets that, because he sets a good screen. It's like the Kevin Garnett school of screening that he wants to went to, because he sets a Kevin Garnett screen and he's a much bigger body than Garnett. He's a big body. He does a good job on the glass. He's a mean guy. He has this New Zealand, Australian toughness, and I love it. And it's great. We get the minutes. Yeah, we get the minutes from Baines. We get the minutes from Morris off the bench, who, I'm not that big a fan of, but he's a good player. He's hard-nosed. He'll obviously fight for anybody because he loves fighting and talking shit. But
you need guys like that on your team, though.
You do, and you know what? He's that guy, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I think they play well in Milwaukee. I think they do close it out. I think they're just the overall better team. Even without Kyrie, I think they're just a better team.
That's crazy, they've kind of proven it. True.
And just one last thing I want to talk about for the NBA for me, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, is that Sixers team. I watched a bunch of their games so far. Ben Simmons is incredible. He is
He's
incredible.
awesome.
He's a freaking 6'10" point guard. I
Let me
mean,
tell you.
go ahead.
Let me tell you something about Ben Simmons. He is he's Magic Johnson without the polish. He's not polished yet, but he
Right, because
really
he can
is.
pass the ball.
He has the best court vision of anyone in the NBA, almost. This guy,
Top 5,
and this
probably, right?
definitely top 5 as a rookie. As a rookie,
In quotes.
yeah.
Red shirt rookie.
Red, yeah, that's good. Red shirt.
He is fantastic. He is so much fun to watch. I've watched a ton of the Sixers all year. When he doesn't have a great jump shot, and that's his thing. That's what everyone's going to pick on him about. But does it matter when you have J.J. Redick, Marco Bellinelli, Robert Covington, Joel Embiid, Ersan Ilyasova, Dario Saric? Doesn't all those guys can shoot the three and spread the floor? Simmons doesn't really need to do it. And so what they do is they give him a lot of space beyond the 3-point line because they're like daring him to shoot it, and that just gives him more of a his eyesight to catch the open passer or the open cutter, and he does a great job. So these defenses don't know how to play him. You can't play off of him because he finds the open guy every time. You can't play on him because he'll go right past you, and he's 6'10". How many times do you see him go right past guys and have a huge dunk at the hole?
Unbelievable.
He's
just like that too.
So much fun to watch. Like, he did not hit one 3-point shot in the season. He only took 11, but he missed them all.
Yeah, I know. I actually heard that on the radio not too long ago.
But you know what? It's okay.
It's okay because the other guys do that. He doesn't need to.
Right. Like, and the other guys have been doing it very well. Like, it's not like this team is fun to watch. They scare the crap out of me. If we beat the Bucks and we make it to the next round, we have to face them, and I am not looking forward to that.
Right, and I'm watching the game yesterday, and the commentators were saying that the best guy on the court was Embiid, and I just kind of caught my eye, and I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, Embiid's a good player. He really is, because another guy that can actually shoot the three for a big dude. Ben Simmons is better. He's a triple double every time he goes out on the court.
Yes, I agree. Like, if they lost one of them to injury, they would still be able to be good if Simmons was there. I think they'd be good either way, but I think they'd be better. Like, I hate saying this, but like, how Embiid missed the first 2 games? If Simmons missed those games, do they win? Maybe.
Yeah, it's tough, but like you said, they're very deep. Very deep.
Well, they're deep. Those additions at the deadline, getting Ilyasova and Bellinelli, were huge.
Yeah.
Holtz coming back was nice for them. They have, TJ McConnell off the bench. Their team is solid. And either way, whether Simmons is better than Embiid or Embiid is better than Simmons, these are 2 of the best guys in the NBA. And in this series against the Heat, they're the 2 best players on the court. If they play the Celtics, they're going to be the 2 best players on the court. If they play the Bucks, you can make some arguments that Giannis could potentially be better than one of them. But they're going to be the 2 best guys on the court against every team in the East except for maybe LeBron.
Right.
They are so good.
That's amazing. I never thought of that, Rye. Never thought of that.
This team is so good that they could win the whole thing this year. They really could.
Very interesting. Oh, one other thing, and I know you'd probably like to talk about this too. It's been super chippy in these games, and it hasn't been like fisticuffs. Let's throw punches. It's just chippy out there. I mean, I guess that's the NBA playoffs, but it's been really kind of fun to watch in that aspect, don't you think?
Yeah, I love that. I love the NBA playoffs for that reason. These guys, people talk about, no defense. These guys are playing their asses off in the postseason. The 82-game regular season is very long. It's maybe a little too long. But in these playoffs, these guys are giving it everything. And like this, you who haven't watched that much over the years and are really watching a lot more this year, Do you see what I've been saying for years? How I love the NBA and how great the playoffs are.
Yeah, it's okay.
I knew Mike would.
No, I've enjoyed this playoff too. I haven't watched as much as you guys, but I've enjoyed it.
One note about that game yesterday, that Sixers Heat game. They were talking about the chippiness and everything, and right, James Johnson on the Heat.
Yes.
They say you basically do not want to fuck with that guy. He's a black belt.
Well, yeah. Apparently, he's like 7-0 in MMA fights. Like he fights MMA.
I would not go near that guy then.
Neither would I. But Ben Simmons has this Australian toughness, and he didn't give a crap.
I know. I saw that.
Ben Simmons is tough.
He is tough.
But I still like. Yeah, I still wouldn't go near James Johnson.
I'm not messing with James Johnson, freaking black belt over there. I didn't really know about it. And your boy Olynyk was out there too. He played really well this year.
Dude, he did, and he had that game in the postseason last year with the Celtics where he beat the Wizards basically won a playoff game was huge. And last night, he was he their best player? Probably
last night he was. Yep.
Yeah, he was the best player on the floor. 18 points, 8 boards, 6 assists, 3 steals. He had a big game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's a good player. He's definitely a guy that's going to be around the league for a long time. A 7-footer that can hit the 3 and spread the floor.
Just really quick, I actually wrote down who I think. I mean, I don't know much, but who I think is going to make it out of each league, and I have the Sixers in the East, man. I do. Yeah. I just think just watching them, that's a good team. And like you said, they're super deep. Those deadline deals getting Ilyasova and Bellinelli have just paid dividends, and they still got guys like Saric and Covington. They're very deep. And the West is just so hard. And I just can't give it up yet because they're going to get Curry back. I just think it's going to be Warriors, Sixers. And I have no idea who's going to win that. But that would be kind of fun to watch. I'll be honest with you.
That would be great. I mean, this is great. I mean, obviously, I want the Celtics to win. Can they beat the Sixers? Yes. Are the chances good? No. And after that, like, this is one of those, if the Celtics lost, I might be like, I'm done with watching this crap. But I'm going to watch this year because I'm curious to see the Pelicans play. I'm curious to see Golden State when Curry comes back. I'm definitely watching Philly. I'm definitely going to watch the Wizards or Toronto, whoever makes it, because I think John Wall's very special, and he's been playing very well.
He's awesome.
He's just fun to watch because he's so fast. And then you have the LeBron aspect. He's made it to the finals for the last 7-8 years or something. Will he do it this year? The Pacers are playing very well in this series. They kind of blew a game. They should be up 3-1, but it's 2-2. I know. We'll see. This is exciting.
You're getting giggly over there.
I am. I'm excited. I love it.
Mike, you getting giggly over the NBA playoffs?
I'm tickled.
And you didn't even mention the beard.
Oh, Harden's been great too. I mean, he has. I don't love the Rockets, but they're a fun watch. It's been great.
Here's my casual fan perspective, because no one can provide that better than me.
Of course.
Just give me a finals where either the Warriors or LeBron aren't in it.
I'm kind of with you there. I'm with you.
And if they're both not in it, all the better.
Yeah.
So and you know what? I'll probably watch a few games if that's the case. But if it's LeBron against the Warriors again, I'll watch billiards over that shit.
Billiards.
Willie
Mosconi and billiards.
Trick shot billiards. That's on ESPN 8, the Ocho. That's what I'll watch.
I'm kind of with you on that one, Mike. That would be fun and make it a little bit more intriguing too.
Yeah, give me Sixers Rockets. I'll tune in.
And Rye, one thing that still pisses me off: why do they blast music during like the game? What is that?
Can you imagine any other sport? doing that.
Like baseball. Imagine that.
Just blasting music.
Dude, guys pitching. Oh, we're halfway there. Oh.
Can you imagine?
You know what?
So ridiculous.
You guys made me think of like Cespedes' walk-up song. Do you know what it is?
No. What is it?
It's the Lion King.
Oh, that's right. I did.
And it's awesome. And I just wanted to keep playing every time he comes up to the plate because I think it's hilarious. Yeah.
Well, Flores is the Friends theme song.
Oh, it's great. Funny.
It's great.
It's everybody's friend because everyone loves this guy.
Oh man.
Yeah, he starts walking up. It's great.
We got 90 sitcoms, Disney movies, and golf handshakes after games. This Met team, man.
It's a fun one. Now, yeah, Ryan. I mean, this is the most I've ever been into the NBA playoffs seriously since Michael Jordan was around, and those Bulls and the Bulls and Knicks fighting it out. I used to watch those actually a lot. But yeah, it's been exciting, and we'll probably get some more intriguing matchups to come. But the meat and potatoes, boys. Oh wait, that's hockey. Jeez.
Oh, that's hockey.
Give me it, Mike. Give me the NFL.
We got the N. How about the NFL? All I think about is the old Sports Center music when Tom Jackson and Berman would do the.
Wait, do it. Yeah, no, they do play that at the draft too. You know what? I just love that hockey music so much. That's why.
Yeah, but the draft is on. It's not on ESPN anymore.
No, it's not.
It's going to be on Fox and NFL Network.
Well, Fox took over that Thursday night, if you remember as well. Those Thursday night games is Fox.
It's going to be like Aikman and some other dude at the draft.
Yeah,
at least tomorrow night. I don't know. It's weird.
But I think you're still going to get your coverage from the big guys, though. I mean, obviously Mel and Todd
McShay, Todd.
So
I need those guys.
Anyway, NFL draft tomorrow, boys. Rye, I'm pretty pumped up. I'm super curious what's going to go on with the Giants at pick 2. I mean, let's kick it off, man. Let's kick this off right now. So, I mean, you listen to it for the past couple months, and you get excited, and now we're a day away. The Giants have one of the prime spots in the draft at number 2. You got Eli Manning going to be 38. Do they go QB? I think this is what the options are right now. I think you have Barkley. That's an option right there. Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State, just an absolute freak of an athlete. Best college prospect coming out overall. You got, do they go for one of those quarterbacks? So you have that aspect that's been talked about since the beginning, since the season has ended. So do they go QB? Do they go back to their bread and butter and pick a defensive end after losing JPP? And there is an absolute stud in Bradley Chubb. Or do they trade down? Do they get a little unorthodox Gettleman style, because Gettleman doesn't usually do this, and trade down for one of those teams like the Dolphins or the Bills that are looking for a QB right now? So, Rye, I want to hear your want for the Giants at 2, and I also want to hear what you think that they're going to go with.
Oh, man. See, this is so tough because I've been going back and forth in my head. For a while, I thought there was 2 options that I'd be okay with. The one would be draft Barkley at 2. The other would be trade down and get Chubb or Nelson or something like that. And now, I'm kind of thinking, we talked about closers before in baseball, like Familia and whoever else, and these guys scare the shit out of us. There's nothing else that scares the shit out of me more than a running back, because they could be great, but you're only going to have them for a short amount of time. They don't last forever. I understand the quarterback appeal of getting a franchise quarterback and having him forever. I don't like any of these quarterbacks, so I don't want that. So I think I still fall back on drafting Barkley at 2 or trading down. But I actually think I'm leaning towards trading down, grabbing Nelson or Chubb, and then picking up Lamar Jackson later on, if possible. If possible. I know Hall mentioned that a while ago. I think that's what I want the most, and I want Barkley second. Like, I'd be happy either way. So if we get draft Barkley, I'm okay with it, but he better be good. And the other one is trade down for Chubb and Nelson. What I think is going to happen, I think we're going to draft Barkley at 2. I really do. Okay. I think that I honestly think when he wore that Giants sweatshirt to the barber shop or whatever, I think fans saw that and it gave them the biggest boner of their lives. And
boner.
It was like they just opened up the Carmen Electra, first time anyone ever saw her naked in a Playboy or something like that, and they were like, "Whoa,
that's a big boner."
Pitch intense.
We want him, and the Giants ownership knows that it's going to be the biggest thing for the. They know that 90% of the Giant fans want Barkley, and with the crappy season we had last year, this would bring the fan base back instantly, where they'd be like, "I'm on board, I'm loving it," and it would just be a complete turnaround from the Eli McAdoo disaster. And I think that's why Barkley's going to the Giants at number 2.
Okay. All right, so I'll give you my take on this now. So I think a few things are that are going to happen before they choose will kind of determine where they're going to go. So I keep hearing rumblings that if they want to go QB, they want Darnold. And I know you don't like him, Rye. You're not a big fan of him. The Giants like him. I don't think they like any of the other quarterbacks for their system, for their team, for their organization. So they're kind of dead set on Darnold. But that's a big, big but. The Cleveland Browns, who picked before us, seem to have been interested in him the most the past couple weeks, until the other day it came out that they are super interested and intrigued by Baker Mayfield now. So I think that's why this makes this draft so ridiculously appealing, because usually, guys, right now, we're sitting here right now the day before the draft, less than 24 hours. Usually we know who number one's picking. Like 90-something% sure on who they're picking, correct?
Usually, yeah.
Most of the time.
One or two guys, maybe.
Right. Do you know who the Browns are definitely picking tomorrow at number 1?
No.
Exactly. That's all I needed to know. But that's what's making this so appealing. So if, all goes what I think is going to go, and the Browns choose the Browns choose Darnold, because I do think they're going to go QB. I think they've messed it up so many times.
They have to, right?
I think they're going to go QB, which obviously makes sense. And if that happens, I think they will go Darnold. So if that happens, Rye, what I want is Barkley. 100% want Barkley, and it's just it drew me in. He drew me in just watching him and just hearing about him, what the scouts say and all this. I want that running back. I do, and I understand what you say on the shelf life of running back. And barring injury, this guy is going to be an absolute stud, a special player. And what Gettleman says, in quotes, a gold jacket player. And obviously you guys know what that means. And I think Gettleman is he's so he's a guy I think that will draft the best player available. And at 2, sitting there with Darnold off the board, even at 1, who's the best player available? It's Barkley. It's Barkley with that skill set. So my want is Barkley. I think that he drew me in. I'm like a puppy drooling over here, just waiting for tomorrow at 8:00. What do I think they're going to do? I think I'm going to side with you, Ryan. I think they are going to go Barkley. So what I want is Barkley. What I think they're going to go with is Barkley. I think they do make that move and get Barkley because I do think that the Browns will go QB. Now, Mike, being an outsider, not a Giant fan, I'm not going to get your want, obviously, because you're not a Giant fan. But where do you think the Giants go at number 2? What's your gut feeling here?
Well, there's a few things at play here. Number one, like you said, a lot of this hinges on what Cleveland does. Obviously, if Cleveland takes Barkley, I think you're a lot of Giant fans are split. Some may want a guy like Sam Darnold, who I think is going to be a pretty good NFL quarterback, and other people may want to trade out. And I was a big advocate for that. But there's like problems arising with trading down, and it's not really so much the Giants trading down, but who's going to trade up? The Bills at 11, the Dolphins at 12. Would one of those teams trade all the way up to 2 for Sam Darnold? I don't know. And if the Giants trade down to 11 or 12, you can pretty much kiss Quentin Nelson goodbye. You can kiss Bradley Chubb goodbye. They're not going to last that long.
Right.
So it's not the best situation. I think you're not going to be able to recoup that value. Obviously, you'll be getting a boatload of picks. Well, maybe not a boatload. You get a few more. Probably a first next year, which is always appealing. But in terms of this year and this first round, I don't love that. So here's the deal. We know Dave Gettleman won't be afraid to draft Saquon Barkley. He just drafted a running back in the first round last year with McCaffrey in Carolina. He likes Barkley. I like Barkley. It's hard not to like Barkley. We talked about shelf life. You talk about the importance of the position. Quarterback is just so much more important. That's the only problem. Coaches get fired for bad quarterback play, not bad running back play. That all being said, if Darnold gets picked first by the Browns, I think the Giants should draft Saquon Barkley. Just because, a kid this good, I don't want to say it's a kind of process of elimination and you're just left with Saquon Barkley, but you can't draft a guard at 2. I love Quentin Nelson. That would be a silly reach.
Yeah.
You could go Chubb, but I think because, we talk about pass rusher, that's another premier position. But I think, I don't know. I think Barkley makes the most sense if Darnold goes 1. Now, if the Browns get silly, well, Barkley 1 overall would not be silly. And if Barkley goes 1, I think you draft Sam Darnold, and I think you're pretty happy about it, to be honest. If the Browns are saying, oh, we love Baker Mayfield too. If I'm the Browns, I'm saying I love every single quarterback because, then, the Bills, Dolphins, one of these other teams may start salivating and, oh, well, that's my guy. I got to trade up to 1. So who knows? But if they really do and they draft a Baker Mayfield or even a Bradley Chubb and the Giants have Darnold and Barkley there, wow, now it gets really, really, really interesting. And I got to tell you, I don't know what they would do. I don't know what they should do. I don't know, that's going to, if the Browns take anyone other than Darnold and Barkley, I'm going to be really, really interested to see what happens because I don't know. I don't know.
And you know what? And I'm glad you kind of brought up that, those other teams salivating if, the Browns say that they are, they want all the quarterbacks. They love all the quarterbacks. The last few days, a lot of intrigue has been with that Browns 4th pick now too.
Yeah.
So do some of those teams like the Dolphins or the Bills, do they talk to the Browns for that one? Because that 4 spot, you're going to get one of the quarterbacks, correct?
Yeah. But now here, if I'm the Browns and say I take Darnold 1,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I think the Giants drafting Barkley would make sense at 2. And obviously, the Jets traded up to 3 for a quarterback, nothing else. So, and
Yeah.
I know the Jets like Mayfield. So say it goes Darnold, Barkley, Mayfield, and now the Browns are sitting there at 4. They have their quarterback, Chubb
Yeah.
Yeah.
could be in play. I don't think they should trade that pick if it falls to that level. If they get their quarterback and then either Barkley or Chubb, I mean, holy shit. I mean, and they still have a lot of picks later in the draft. So if I'm the Browns, I don't trade anything. You've sucked for too long. Why? What are you trading for?
Right.
Just
Uh,
stick and pick.
and Rye, just want to ask you this question. Being at number 2, and one of those possibilities being them trading down. And Mike, you bring a good point, because the only really 2 teams you're looking at are those, the Dolphins and the Bills at 11 and 12.
Probably.
And like you said, at that point, you're probably not getting Nelson or Chubb. So,
Right.
so Rye, you mentioned a guy later on the Giants getting. What if they are looking at the Bills and the Bills want that number 2 spot? So they make the trade, and now the Giants are sitting at 12, and also they would probably get that number 22 pick that the Bills have. You have to get that pick too. You have to. So let's say at 12, the Giants get, I mean, I don't know who's going to be available then, but like a best player available, somebody to fill a hole in need, maybe on defense. At 22, do you take Lamar Jackson if he's there?
I would definitely think about it. I think that Jackson can be really good. I do. I take him. At 22 I take him. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you figure the Giants they have to draft a quarterback at some point. You would think you use one of those picks somewhere in the draft to draft one. Obviously, they have a premier pick, but if it's not spent there and you can get back into the first round, well, obviously you'd be trading that pick. But if you get, have 2 cracks in the first round, I mean, Jackson, a lot of people like this guy. He's not the player that he appears to be on the surface. He's not just a Michael Vick who doesn't know what's going on under center. I mean, I've talked about before. He ran a very complex offense in college. I think he can be a player for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? And he might not even last till 22, because you have at 15 the Arizona Cardinals sitting there who need a quarterback too.
Cardinals, I've seen him linked with Baltimore.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not, you never know what's going to happen. But if that situation arises, I think it's not a bad option. But here's an interesting scenario. Let's say Darnold goes 1, and the Giants are sitting there 2, and obviously Saquon Barkley is on the pedestal at this point. We know what teams want to trade up for a quarterback. Someone who wants to trade up for Saquon Barkley, now that opens up a whole nother can of worms. That could be anybody.
Well, that could be anybody, yes.
And that could be someone not as far down as 11 or 12. It could be Tampa at 7, say, or Chicago at 8. I mean, you never know.
Even the Colts at 6. Could they get? They have these Jets
at 5. Why not Denver at 5? A prospect like this, and for a team to move up a few spots to do it, that is a realistic scenario. And if I'm the Giants, now you don't get a ton back if you're moving down, anywhere from 3 to 5 spots, 5, 6 spots. But now you can still get a guy you need.
Yeah.
You can get a Quentin Nelson at 7 or 8. Because I don't think Nelson's getting past 8 with the Bears. You can get maybe Bradley Chubb falls that far. You never know. So that's another scenario.
One of my things, why is that Denver is not interested in a quarterback? Like, to move up, I mean.
Well,
Denver, be in play?
Maybe they are.
Like, do they really love Paxton Lynch that much, or did I miss something? Did they get somebody else?
I mean, listen, maybe John Elway's being really mum about it. Who they might be interested. Who knows? We don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, this draft coverage gets so much exposure, and you hear so much about every single team. But who knows?
Well, they remember, guys, they got Case Keenum.
Oh, right. They did
That's where Keenum went. Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
signed Keenum. You remember that?
Right.
It kind of just popped into my head. So I think, Rye, that's why they've kind of fallen out of those discussions,
Okay.
Indeed.
That's right.
But Mike, like you said, like you never know what's going to happen. And you brought a great point up with like trading up for Barkley. I haven't even heard any of that, but you never know. It could happen.
Why not? I mean, Falcons traded up for Julio Jones. I mean, did the Cowboys trade up for Elliott, or would they? That was their pick.
No, that was their pick. I think their pick was 6, right? Or 6.
I don't think it would be that crazy for a team to do it. I mean, even a couple spots.
Right. And you know what, Rye, let's say, and Mike, you said, at some point Giants definitely need to think about drafting a quarterback. And I agree. I absolutely 100% agree. There is a plethora of second tier quarterbacks, if you may. So if the Giants, keep their spot at 2, and let's say they grab Barkley, their next pick is obviously that 34th pick in the second round. And so you got probably all five of those QBs, Lamar Jackson being the last of those, are probably gone at that point. Would you guys agree that he's?
Yes.
So at 34, do you draft a guy like, I don't know, Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State?
I like the kid a lot.
He's pretty good.
I didn't know much about him. I saw a little thing on I don't know if it was ESPN or NFL Network. It was kind of the John Gruden classroom. Obviously, Gruden's a little busier now, so it was Mariucci was in there, and kind of doing a one-on-one with Rudolph. I like the kid a lot. Seems to know what he's doing. So a little bit of his highlights. He can throw the ball, man.
Oh yeah.
He's a pretty good prospect.
The only bugaboo I keep hearing is he just a product of the system over there?
Right, system.
I know, but and I just say it because that's what I hear.
Well, listen, it's a legitimate concern, but they said that about Aaron Rodgers too.
Right. But you know what, Mike? They are also saying that about Baker Mayfield, who never has been under center.
Right.
So he's going to have to change his style a little bit. Right. He's never been under center, in that Big 12 offense. And it's going to be interesting when he takes the ball from the center and he's got to turn around. You know what I'm saying? And then you see these big NFL defensive ends coming at him like at blink of an eye like that.
Yeah.
So it's it's going to be interesting for him too. But so yeah, I mean it's super appealing, very intriguing, Rye. I'm excited. I know I'm sure you're excited too. Having one of those premier picks. I haven't been this excited since that 2004 draft, getting Eli Manning. And you know how that turned. That was crazy. That was a crazy draft. The Mannings getting booed and everything.
Oh God.
And all that craziness. But I mean, Rye, would you say that worked out, getting Eli Manning?
Of course it did.
It did. So Michael.
Yes.
The Green Bay Packers are in a little uncharted territory of their own lately. Being that 13 spot, are they, or 14? What are
14,
they? 13.
14.
They're at 14, yeah. Dude. What are you feeling at that spot? What are they talking about at that spot?
Well, I'm happy because I'll probably be able to stay up and watch it. Yeah. Usually picking at the end. Actually, I stayed up the whole fucking first round last year for them to trade the pick. But listen, at 14, I mean, our obvious needs are corner, even though we draft like 6 every year. I still think that's the biggest need.
You got to get one right, Mike.
Yeah, and listen, we're starting to. Kevin King, I think we finally hit on one last year. And we bring back my boy Tremont Williams, which I'm excited about. He's 34, 35 years old. So it's a need, and it's probably where we're going in the first round of 14. I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys to talk about. You have Denzel Ward from Ohio State. I mean, you have Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, is he a safety, a corner? He's kind of like that hybrid guy. I mean, you have the kid from Iowa, Josh Jackson, Jair Alexander, Louisville. There's some good ones, and I can see them going there. I wouldn't be shocked if they went receiver either at 14. Jordy's gone. Randall, with the injuries, he's kind of a shell of his former self. Still dangerous in the slot when he's on the field, but we've thinned out. I mean, obviously Adams has risen to stardom, but it's still a need. I can see corner, I can see wide receiver. The guy I really, really, really want is Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech, the outside linebacker. He is a monster. I just don't see him falling to 14. That's the only problem. So I'm not going to get too excited about it. Another guy I would love to have is McGlinchey, the tackle from Notre Dame. We could plug him in and have him play right tackle from day one. I mean, we still have Balaga, but the injuries are mounting there, and the depth I'm not so sure about anymore. And you can never have enough big guys. I don't know about if McGlinchey's gone, there's no one really at value that position at 14. The linebacker core will have to address at some point during the draft. But I think first round, pick 14, it's corner, it's receiver. So, I mean, we'll see who's there. I mean, I'm looking at a mock right now. This is from Mike Mayock. This is Mayock's mock. Who actually has Darnold 1, Saquon to the Giants, Mayfield, Jets, and then Browns take Chubb. Actually, he's interesting here. He's got Quentin Nelson then going 5 to the Broncos. And then he has the Bills trading up to 6 with the Colts to take Josh Allen. Interesting. But then let's get to these DBs for the sake of the Packers here. Derwin James, I think he's a lock to be top 10. Mayock has him going 7th to the Bucks. Denzel Ward, I mentioned, the cornerback at Ohio State, probably the best corner in the draft. He's got him going 9th to the Niners. My boy Tremaine Edmonds goes 11th to the Dolphins, and he's got the Packers taking Jair Alexander, cornerback from Louisville. Mayock calls him edgy, tough. He competes, finds the ball in the air, and added value as a punt returner. So that would work for me. If they took the best corner on the board, or even the best receiver on the board, which at this point it could be take your pick because they could all be there. If you like Sutton, if you like the kid from Alabama, Ridley, DJ Moore from Maryland. I think you might be reaching a little there. So we'll see that we have the most picks in the whole draft. We have 12 picks.
Wow.
We got a little shifty with the Browns when we made that trade. We traded Demarius Randall for Deshaun Kaiser. We flip-flopped 4th and 5th rounders, so we moved up to the first pick in each of the 4th and 5th rounds, which, listen, helps. I mean, every little bit helps, and we have a ton of picks. So, listen, and having 12 picks, I mean, this is Goot's first draft. Well, at least his first draft at the wheel. He's been involved in a ton. But with all those picks, I mean, picks, they can equal bullets. So do the Packers make a move early in this draft? I mean, is there a guy they absolutely love? You know, a guy like Tremaine Edmonds, who I love. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to him moving up 3 spots right off the bat to get a guy they really, really like. I mean, we have the picks to do it. So, this is going to be interesting. I'm excited, man. This is, Giants at 2, Jets at 3.
Yeah, Jets at 3. That's another fun one.
A team with 2 picks in the top 4 is ridiculous. My Packers in the top half of the first round doesn't happen often. It's pretty cool. So we'll see what happens.
And it's cool. You guys know Jay Gray. He's a Jet fan.
Is he?
So yeah, we're going to go to the bar and watch the draft tomorrow.
Man, you'll be over in an hour.
Yeah,
and
right, and my brother too. He's gonna come, so we'll be able to see the Packers pick as well.
So you hang out till 14.
Yeah, we'll hang out there for a little while, watch that. But yeah, it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a fun draft. It's fun in many ways where it's super intriguing, and it's one of those things where we don't know exactly what's going to happen, and especially starting right in the beginning at 1, we don't know exactly yet. I don't know. Maybe the Browns come out sometime tomorrow and say this is who we're getting, because that does happen on draft day.
It does. I doubt it with this draft because this is so fluid. So this is a dynamic draft. It really is.
Right.
It's fun.
Any more draft talk, guys? Anything you want to add?
Nada.
No, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. One little story before we head out, guys, that I thought was kind of interesting. Mike, you kind of, brought it to a head because you mentioned the guy Mike Mayock. So obviously we know, guys, that Gruden got a coaching job. So Monday Night Football announcers, some of those slots have opened up because Sean McDonough, he went back to college. But I think they got rid of him because Gruden left. So I don't know. I think I don't really know the story, but so he's in college. So now they got those 2 spots. So they've been calling around asking for guys, and who they really want is Peyton Manning. And I think that didn't work out. I think he said no. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he said no. And I guess they've been kind of thinking about some other guys. And apparently Mike Mayock was like pissed off about it, that they didn't ask him.
Really?
Like he was saying how, he had been a seasoned announcer and all this. And he's trying to make his case, and he's put in the time. And apparently he's really irate at them not asking him. What do you think about that?
I like Mayock, but I didn't know he had that in him. Really spouting off about it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I to be honest with you, I like him as he's really good at analysis of college players.
Yeah, he's great.
And he does great with the draft. He does. But Mike, I don't remember if you remember he used to be on Thursday night.
Right. Yeah, I do.
And he was just super boring. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess maybe he's not the best fit in the booth. I mean, he's a scout, man. He really is. He can break down any player at any position and really make you give you an inside look of what scouts look for and what they're looking at.
Right.
And he brought a little bit of that into the booth, which helped. But yeah, he just lacked a little bit of
gusto.
Yeah, and the in-game analysis might have been lacking. I mean, he can tell you all about a player inside and out, but maybe not about a play.
Right. It was a little dry. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny that he was kind of pissed off. I guess they're a possibility of a trio with Matt Hasselbeck, Randy Moss, and Louis Riddick. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
But this even better. This even better. They another. I mean, I don't know how credible this is, but Kurt Warner as being one guy. I think he'd do a nice job. But this is even better. And the article here, it's funny. And it says, and in what would be a moonshot, Brett Favre. I just like how they put that.
Yo, guys, I gotta cut you off really quick. The end of this Pacers Cavaliers game.
Go ahead.
Oh, ridiculous. LeBron, with 3 seconds left, comes from a behind the play, like that famous block he made, and blocks. Mm-hmm. I forget what Pacer now. They get an inbounds play at half court. LeBron hits a 3. Game over at the buzzer beater. Legit buzzer beater.
The king.
Yep.
Wow.
The place is going bananas. He's going bananas.
Wow.
Bron for the win.
And therein lies another great ending to an NBA playoff game, right?
Yeah, I mean it's really been good. It's really been.
Hey, I'm kind of pissed I missed it, but oh well. I like talking on here with you guys.
We'll catch the highlight.
Yeah, we'll catch the highlight. Well, wow, that's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys that story. I thought it was kind of funny, Mike. You brought up Mayock, so I figured I'd tell you that. Rye, you got anything to add to the to this podcast, or you good?
No, just hoping for a Celtics W tomorrow.
Celtics W for you. I'll root for them with you. Mike, any last words?
I want the Yankees to hang on to this game. 6-4 in the 7th. We're going into the 8th. We can sweep our whipping boy Twins tomorrow and go give Mr. Ohtani a visit this weekend.
Yeah, well, Matt's getting his ass kicked. I'm not a big Mats fan anymore.
Peppercorn.
Sucks.
Peppercorn dressing.
But, it's only the 4th inning.
3 unearned runs from Mats, too. So
yeah, I know. He just gets himself into crazy situations. I don't know. He's actually not pitching terrible, to be honest with you. He's got 5 strikeouts. I don't know. He just bothers me. But anyway, so fellas and everybody listen, our next podcast episode will be episode number 50.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool. I kind of sat back when I was typing up this episode, and it was kind of cool. It's kind of cool. We're almost at 50 episodes, and hopefully many more. You guys just gotta keep the social media in the back of your minds at the Hangry Hacks. Please tweet us on Twitter. We're gonna do a little bit of a better job, advertising this podcast, and we'll get some more episodes on here. But just listen to our content, give us a review. That's we like to hear from you guys. But other than that, enjoy some NBA playoffs, obviously some baseball, and we'll go from there. But happy draft day tomorrow, boys. And
yes.
Just enjoy the draft. Let's hope both our teams, have a nice little draft and fill the holes they need. So we're outie. Enjoy the night, everybody. See you later.